The lights in my house had been off for 3 days because my daughter-in-law told me the electric company raised the rates and we needed to conserve. I believed her. I had been believing her for 2 years. When my granddaughter Sophie walked through the front door that Tuesday afternoon, dropped her backpack on the floor, and whispered, "Grandma, why is it so cold in here? And why is there nothing in the fridge? You get Grandpa's money every month." I did not know what to say. Before I could answer, my daughter-in-law Vanessa appeared from the hallway with a calm smile and said, "Your grandmother does not need you worrying about finances, sweetheart. I handle everything." Sophie looked at her, then looked at me, and something in that 16-year-old girl's eyes changed. She pulled out her phone and said quietly, "I'm calling Mum," and I remember thinking, how did I become a stranger in my own home? My name is Eleanor Price. I'm 68 years old. I taught 5th grade for 31 years at Ridgemont Elementary in Columbus, Ohio. I know how to read a room. I know when a child is lying about their homework. I know when numbers do not add up. But somehow, I did not see what was happening right in front of me until a teenager pointed it out. My husband, Harold, passed away 3 years ago. Lung cancer. He fought it for 14 months, and during those 14 months, he sat me down at our kitchen table and explained everything. The life insurance policy worth $350,000, my teacher's pension of $4,200 a month, his Social Security survivor benefit of $2,200 a month. Combined, that was $6,400 coming in every single month, plus the lump sum sitting in savings. Harold held my hands and said, "Ellie, this is enough. You will never have to worry." 6 weeks later, he was gone. The first few months alone were the hardest. The house felt enormous without him. Every creak in the floor reminded me of his footsteps. I stopped cooking full meals because cooking for one felt pointless. I left the television on all night just to hear a voice. That was when my son Robert called. He said he was worried about me. He said living alone at my age was risky. He said Vanessa had an idea. They would move into the house with me. Vanessa would help manage the bills since she used to work as a bookkeeper. Robert said it would save them rent, and I would have company. I thought it was kindness. I truly did. They moved in within a month. At first, it felt wonderful. The house was alive again. Sophie was 13 then, bright and funny, always asking me to help with her essays. Robert fixed the leaky faucet Harold never got around to. Vanessa organized the mail, set up automatic payments, and told me I did not need to worry about anything anymore. She asked me to sign a few forms. She said they were for streamlining the accounts. She said the bank recommended it. She said it was standard when family members shared a household. I signed. I was a teacher, not a lawyer. The words on those pages were dense, and Vanessa explained them so smoothly that I felt foolish asking questions. Slowly, month by month, things shifted. Vanessa started handling all the grocery shopping. She said she found better deals at stores across town, but the food she brought home got smaller in quantity. She said prices were rising. She said we needed to budget tighter. I believed her because I had no reason not to. Then the clothes stopped. I mentioned needing a new winter coat, and Vanessa said, "We should wait for the sales, Eleanor." The sales never came. I asked for cash to buy a birthday gift for my friend Dolores, and Vanessa handed me $20 from her own purse like she was doing me a favor. $20. When $350,000 and $6,400 a month were mine. I stopped going to my book club because Vanessa said the gas was too expensive for unnecessary trips. I stopped attending Wednesday dinners at church because she said eating out was wasteful. I stopped seeing my doctor regularly because Vanessa said she would reschedule the appointments, and then never did. My world got smaller. But I told myself this was normal. I told myself aging meant needing less. Harold would have seen through it instantly, but Harold was gone, and grief had made me soft in places I did not know could bend. The afternoon Sophie walked in and asked about the empty refrigerator. I was sitting in the living room wrapped in 2 blankets because the thermostat was set to 55. Vanessa said anything higher was wasteful. Sophie did not accept the word wasteful. She opened every cabinet in the kitchen. She found a box of stale crackers, a can of beans, and half a jar of peanut butter. She opened the freezer. Empty. She checked the pantry. Nearly bare. "Grandma," she said, and her voice was shaking. "When was the last time you ate a real meal?" I thought about it. 3 days. Maybe 4. Vanessa had said she was going to the store but kept forgetting. Vanessa stepped into the kitchen. Sophie, your grandmother eats fine. You are being dramatic. Sophie looked at her stepmother with eyes I had never seen on that girl before. Cold and steady. I'm not being dramatic. I'm looking at empty shelves in a house where $6,000 comes in every month. Vanessa's smile tightened. Household expenses are complicated. You are 16. You do not understand budgets. I understand an empty fridge, Sophie said. She picked up her phone and called her mother, Robert's ex-wife Karen. They had divorced 7 years ago, and the custody arrangement meant Sophie spent weekdays with Robert and Vanessa and weekends with Karen. Karen and I had always stayed close. She was more of a daughter to me than Vanessa ever pretended to be. Karen arrived within 40 minutes. She walked through the door and stopped. She looked at the dark hallway, the cold air, the blankets piled on the couch. Then she walked into the kitchen and opened the refrigerator. She stood there for a long moment, staring at the empty shelves. Eleanor, she said softly, turning to me. How long has it been like this? I could not answer. My throat felt tight. Vanessa appeared again. Karen, you do not live here. This is not your concern. Karen ignored her completely. She knelt in front of me and took my hands. Ellie, look at me. How much money do you receive every month? $6,400, I whispered. Plus Harold's insurance is in savings. Karen's eyes widened. She turned to Vanessa. Where is it going? Vanessa crossed her arms. Bills. Mortgage is paid off, but there are property taxes, insurance, utilities, groceries, medical expenses. It adds up. Karen shook her head slowly. Property taxes in this county are about $4,000 a year. Utilities may be $200 a month. Even with groceries and insurance, you are not spending $6,400 a month. Where is the rest? Vanessa's expression shifted. Not a lot. Just enough for me to notice. I had spent 31 years reading the faces of 10-year-olds who had not done their homework. I knew that look. It was the look of someone calculating how much truth to release. Robert manages the investment side, Vanessa said carefully. We are building a portfolio for Eleanor's long-term care. Karen stood up. What investment? What portfolio? Vanessa did not answer. Sophie spoke from behind us. Dad bought a boat last summer. The room went silent. And a new truck in January. And they went to Cancun in March without Grandma. I felt something cold settle in my chest. The boat. Robert had told me it was a company vehicle for his landscaping business. The truck, he said, was leased through the business. The Cancun trip, Vanessa told me, was a work conference. Karen looked at me with an expression that broke my heart. It was not pity. It was fury wrapped in gentleness. Eleanor, she said quietly, I need to see your bank statements. I do not have them, I admitted. Vanessa switched everything to online. I do not have the passwords. Karen closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them, they were sharp. Then tomorrow morning, we are going to the bank. Vanessa stepped forward. You have no legal standing here. Robert has financial authority. He signed the documents. Eleanor signed the documents, Karen corrected. And Eleanor can ask her own bank any question she wants. That night, Karen ordered delivery. Pizza, soup, bread, fruit. She filled my kitchen table with more food than I had seen in weeks. Sophie made me hot chocolate and sat beside me, while Karen called a locksmith to come the next day. Why a locksmith? I asked. Because after tomorrow, some people might need to find a new place to live, Karen said evenly. I did not sleep well. Around midnight, I heard voices downstairs. Robert had come home. He and Karen were talking in low, sharp tones in the kitchen. I crept to the top of the stairs and listened. You are overreacting, Robert said. Mom is fine. She has a roof over her head. Food in the house. There is no food in this house, Robert. I saw the refrigerator. Vanessa was going to shop tomorrow. Tomorrow? Your mother has not had a real meal in days. There was a pause. Karen, stay out of this. You are not family anymore. I am Sophie's mother, and Eleanor has been more of a mother to me than my own. So do not tell me who is family. Robert's voice dropped. If you take her to the bank and start making noise, it will cause problems you do not understand. What kind of problems? Financial ones. Business ones. Things are tight right now. I just need a few more months. A few more months of what? Starving your mother? Robert did not answer. I went back to my room and sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the framed photograph of Harold on my nightstand. You would have seen this, I whispered to him. You would have stopped it. The next morning, Karen drove me to First National Bank on Broad Street. Sophie came with us. Robert and Vanessa were gone when we left. The house was empty. The bank manager, a woman named Patricia Walsh, greeted us warmly. I asked to see my complete account history for the past 3 years. She typed for a moment, then her fingers stopped. She looked at the screen, then at me, then back at the screen. Mrs. Price, she said carefully. There have been substantial transfers from your accounts over the past 26 months. How substantial? Karen asked. Patricia turned the monitor slightly. Your savings account, which held the life insurance payout, has been drawn down from $350,000 to just under $11,000. Your checking account, which receives your pension and survivor benefits, currently has a balance of $83. $83. $350,000 reduced to $11,000. 26 months of $6,400 a month. That was over $166,000 in pension and benefits. Nearly all of it gone. My hands gripped the armrest of the chair. Sophie reached over and held my wrist. Karen's voice was steady but tight. Where did the money go? Patricia scrolled through records. Regular transfers to an account under Robert Price. Monthly amounts ranging from $3,000 to $12,000. Additionally, several large lump sum withdrawals from savings. $40,000 in April of last year, $60,000 in August, $35,000 in November. To what account? Karen pressed. All to the same account, registered to Price Landscape and Design, LLC, Robert's company. The business, he said, was growing. The business that supposedly justified the truck, the boat, the vacation. Karen leaned forward. Is there a power of attorney on file? Patricia checked. Yes. A durable power of attorney naming Robert Price as financial agent for Eleanor Price, filed 25 months ago. I remembered that paper now. Vanessa had placed it in a stack of other forms. She said it was a formality. She said it protected me in case of emergency. I remembered signing it at the kitchen table while Vanessa pointed to the line, and Robert smiled and said, Thanks, Mum. This just makes things easier. Karen turned to me. Ellie, did you understand what you were signing? No, I said honestly. I thought it was for the household accounts. Patricia spoke gently. Mrs. Price, a power of attorney can be revoked at any time as long as you are mentally competent. You are under no obligation to keep it in place. Those words hit me like sunlight through a window. I could revoke it. Right now. Today. I want to revoke it, I said. My voice surprised me. It was clear and firm, like the voice I used to settle a noisy classroom. Patricia nodded. We can process that today. We will also flag the account for a transaction review. Karen smiled for the first time that morning. But the smile faded quickly when my phone buzzed. A text from Robert. Mum, whatever Karen is telling you, it is not the full picture. Come home and let us talk as a family. Do not make decisions you will regret. I showed Karen the message. She read it and handed the phone back to me. He is scared, she said simply. We spent 2 hours at the bank. I revoked the power of attorney. I changed all passwords. I requested a complete printed history of every transaction for the past 3 years. Patricia personally walked me through the new security setup and gave me her direct phone number. When we got home, the locks were being changed. The locksmith Karen had called was already working on the front door. Robert's truck was in the driveway. He met us at the door. His face was red. You changed the locks? This is my house too. This is my house, I said. Harold and I bought it in 1987. Your name is not on the deed. Robert stared at me like he did not recognize me. Mum, let me explain. Come inside, I said, and bring Vanessa. We sat in the living room. Robert and Vanessa on one side, Karen, Sophie, and me on the other. I placed the printed bank statements on the coffee table. 83 pages. $339,000, I said quietly. That is approximately how much has left my accounts in 26 months. Your father worked 40 years for that insurance policy. I taught over 3,000 students to earn that pension. And now I have $83 and an empty refrigerator. Robert's jaw clenched. Vanessa looked at the floor. It was not stealing, Robert said. It was borrowing. The business needed capital. We had contracts lined up. There were delays. What contracts? Karen interrupted. Robert hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. just like it told me everything when a fifth grader paused before explaining why their essay was identical to their neighbor's. The Morrison development, Robert said. A major residential project. We were going to clear $200,000 on that alone. Were? I asked. Vanessa finally spoke. The developer pulled out 6 months ago. 6 months. They had known for 6 months that the contract was dead, and they kept transferring my money. Karen pulled out her phone. I looked up Price Landscape and Design this morning. There are 4 lawsuits pending. Unpaid suppliers, unpaid subcontractors, a lien on your business equipment. Robert's face drained of color. How much do you owe? I asked. He did not answer. Robert. How much? 210,000. He whispered. Sophie made a small sound. I looked at my granddaughter, and in her eyes, I saw something that broke me more than any number could. Disappointment. She was watching her father, and the man she saw was not the man she thought he was. And the boat? Karen asked. Robert looked away. 62,000. The truck? 48,000. The Cancun trip? Vanessa spoke quickly. That was only 8,000. Only, Karen repeated. I did the math in my head. I had spent 31 years teaching arithmetic. 210,000 in business debt. 62 for the boat. 48 for the truck. 8 for vacation. Plus living expenses they covered with my money instead of their own. You spent my retirement on your lifestyle, I said. And you called it investment. Robert stood up abruptly. I was trying to build something. For all of us. When the business took off, I was going to repay everything. You were never supposed to know. Never supposed to know, I repeated. That my own money was gone. That my own son was living off my dead husband's life insurance while I sat in the dark eating crackers. The room was very quiet. Vanessa tried one more time. Eleanor, families help each other. We housed you, we cooked for you. You live in my house, I said, and my voice rose for the first time. You eat food bought with my pension. You did not help me. You used me. Karen stood. Here is what is going to happen. Eleanor's accounts are now secured. The power of attorney is revoked. She has full access restored. And unless you want the bank's fraud investigation to become a police report, you are going to cooperate. Robert's eyes went wide. Police? Using power of attorney funds for personal boats and vacations is not borrowing, Robert, Karen said. In Ohio, that is financial exploitation of an elderly person. It is a felony. Felony. The word landed like a hammer. Vanessa started to cry. Robert sat back down heavily, like his legs had given out. Mum, he whispered, please do not call the police. I looked at my son. I remembered him at 7, building a birdhouse in the garage with Harold. I remembered him at 12, crying when his dog ran away. I remembered him at 16, promising me he would make something of himself. I am not calling the police today, I said slowly. But I have conditions. Robert looked up. You will provide a full accounting of every dollar you took. Every transfer, every purchase, every debt. You will sell the boat. You will sell the truck and drive something reasonable. You will establish a repayment plan with a real attorney, not Vanessa, not you, a professional, and you will move out of my house within 30 days. Vanessa's crying got louder. Where will we go? That is not my problem anymore, I said. Robert opened his mouth, then closed it. He looked at Sophie. She was staring at the floor, her arms wrapped around herself. Dad, she said without looking up. Just say yes. Something crumbled in Robert's face. Not anger. Not pride. Something deeper. The wall he had built around his own shame. Okay, he said quietly. Karen called a lawyer that afternoon, a woman named Dana Clifford who specialized in elder financial protection. She reviewed my case within 2 days and confirmed what Karen had suspected. The transfers constituted financial exploitation under Ohio Revised Code. Even with power of attorney, Robert was legally required to act in my best interest. Buying a boat was not in my best interest. Dana sent Robert a formal letter. It outlined the amount owed, the repayment structure, and the legal consequences of non-compliance. It also noted that if Robert failed to cooperate, the matter would be referred to the county prosecutor's office. Robert sold the boat within a week. He got $41,000 for it, less than what he paid. He sold the truck for $32,000, combined with the $11,000 still in my savings, that brought back $84,000. It was not everything, but it was a start. The repayment plan required Robert to pay $1,500 a month from his income until the full amount was returned. Dana estimated it would take over 12 years. 12 years of consequences for 26 months of deception. Robert and Vanessa moved out on a Sunday. They rented an apartment across town. Robert got a job with another landscaping company, working for someone else instead of pretending to run his own business. He did not argue. He did not threaten. He just carried boxes to his truck in silence. Before he left, he stood in the doorway of the house where he grew up. He looked at the living room, the kitchen, the hallway where Harold used to chase him as a child. "I'm sorry, Mom," he said. "I know," I replied. "I thought I could fix it before you found out." "That is what made it worse," I said. "Not the money. The hiding." He nodded and walked to his truck. Vanessa was already in the passenger seat, not looking at me. Sophie stayed. Karen and I agreed that she would live with me during the week, and with Karen on weekends. The court approved the custody modification quickly, especially after the financial abuse was documented. The weeks that followed felt strange and wonderful. I turned the thermostat up to 70. I filled the refrigerator until the shelves bent. I rejoined my book club. I went back to church on Wednesdays. I bought a new winter coat and a pair of boots I had been wanting for 2 years. I visited my doctor, who scolded me gently for missing 18 months of checkups and then hugged me when I explained why. One evening, Sophie sat across from me at the kitchen table. She was doing homework. I was reading a novel Karen had recommended. The house was warm, the lights were on, there was a pot of soup on the stove, and the smell of it filled every room. "Grandma," Sophie said, looking up from her textbook. "Yes? How did you know something was wrong?" "Like, deep down." Before I said anything, I set my book down. I thought about it carefully, the way I used to think about how to explain fractions to 10-year-olds. "I think I always knew," I said. But I told myself a different story. I told myself that I was being taken care of, that being cold and hungry was just part of getting old, that asking questions would cause trouble. Sophie tilted her head. "So what changed? You walked in and asked why there was no food. You said it out loud. And once someone says the truth out loud, you cannot pretend it is not real anymore." She smiled. "So I saved you? You turned the light on," I said. And that was enough. There was one more thing that happened, something I did not expect. 3 months after Robert moved out, I received a letter in the mail. Not from a bank, not from a lawyer. From Robert. It was handwritten, 2 pages. His handwriting was messy, the way it had been since he was a boy. He wrote about the day Harold died. He wrote about standing in the hospital hallway, knowing his father was gone, feeling like the world had no floor under him anymore. He wrote about the shame of failing, the terror of admitting weakness, the stupid belief that one more month, one more deal, one more transfer would somehow make everything right. He did not ask for forgiveness. He just said he understood now that love without honesty is not love at all, and he said he would spend however long it took to earn back what he had taken, and he did not just mean the money. I folded the letter and placed it in the drawer of my nightstand, next to Harold's photograph. I did not write back. Not yet. Some things need time. But I did not throw it away. If you are listening to this and you have ever felt too embarrassed to question someone you love, if you have ever sat in a cold room and told yourself it was normal, if you have ever signed something you did not understand because someone you trusted told you it was fine, then hear me. Your money is your life's work. Your home is your sanctuary. And no one, not even your own child, has the right to take those from you in silence. You do not have to be loud. You do not have to be angry. You just have to say one thing. "I want to see my account." That is where it starts. And sometimes, the person who helps you say it is someone you never expected. For me, it was a 16-year-old girl with a backpack and a phone, and the courage to ask a simple question. Why is there no food? If this story spoke to you, if you believe in protecting the ones you love and standing up when silence has gone on too long, hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to Amber's Revenge Story so more people can hear what they need to hear. Because sometimes the bravest thing in the world is not fighting. It is simply turning the lights back on